The coffee in Dr. Rebecca Torres' mug had gone cold hours ago, but she barely noticed. Her eyes remained fixed on the holographic display showing the outer solar system, where something impossible was happening. The massive objects moving toward Earth weren't asteroids or comets. They were ships, each one larger than Manhattan, and they were coming fast. "Director Torres, we have confirmation from the Pluto Observatory," said Lieutenant Davis, his voice tight with controlled fear. 27. Vessels all maintaining perfect formation. Current speed is 0.7 light speed and accelerating. Rebecca rubbed her tired eyes and looked around the Global Defense Initiative Command Center. Technicians worked frantically at their stations while military officers spoke in hushed, urgent tones. The air hummed with tension that had been building for the past 18 hours since the first detection. "Any response to our communication attempts?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Nothing, ma'am. We've broadcast on every frequency we know, used mathematical sequences, even tried music. Complete silence from all 27 ships. The largest screen in the room displayed what Earth's most powerful telescopes could see of the alien fleet. The ships appeared as dark silhouettes against the stars, absorbing most light that hit them. They moved with mechanical precision, never deviating from their arrow-straight course toward Earth. Admiral Hayes entered the command center, his weathered face grim. "Rebecca, I need to know what we're dealing with. My fleet commanders are asking for orders, and I don't know what to tell them." Rebecca turned to face him. "Our best analysis suggests each ship is approximately 15 kilometers long and 8 kilometers wide. They're using some form of space-time manipulation to achieve faster-than-light travel within our solar system. The energy readings are off the charts. What about weapons? We can't detect any obvious weapon systems, but with technology that advanced, they might not need conventional weapons. A ship that size could simply ram a continent and cause extinction-level damage." Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. "My combined fleet has 37 vessels. Most are orbital defense platforms and missile frigates. Against something like this..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Dr. Kim rushed over from the analysis station, tablet in hand. "Director, we've got something strange in the sensor. Data, the alien ships aren't just moving toward Earth in a straight line. They're being pulled. Pulled by what?" "That's just it. We can't detect any gravitational source strong enough to account for their acceleration pattern. It's as if something beyond our sensor range is drawing them forward with increasing force." Rebecca studied the data on Kim's tablet. The alien ships had indeed been speeding up beyond what their initial trajectory suggested. Whatever was pulling them seemed to be getting stronger as they approached the inner solar system. "How long until they reach Earth?" Admiral Hayes asked. "At current acceleration, 72 hours, Kim replied. The room fell silent except for the constant hum of computers and the occasional beep of incoming data. 72 hours to prepare for something they couldn't possibly fight. Rebecca thought about the 8 billion people on Earth who were going about their daily lives, unaware that their entire civilization might end in 3 days. What about evacuation? Someone asked. Where would we go? Admiral Hayes replied bitterly. Even if we could move everyone off planet, which we can't, those ships could catch any vessel we launch. Rebecca walked to the main display and stared at the approaching fleet. Each ship was a marvel of engineering that humanity couldn't hope to match. The aliens who built them had mastered technologies that Earth scientists barely understood. In theory, Director, called Technician Brown from the communications station, we're picking up something unusual. The ships are emitting low-frequency pulses, but they're not directed at us. They're broadcasting toward the outer solar system. Can we decode the signals? We're trying, but the pattern is unlike anything in our databases. It almost sounds like... Brown paused, adjusting his headset. It sounds like they're asking for help. Rebecca felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. Asking for help from whom? Unknown, ma'am. But the signals are getting stronger and more frequent as they approach. Dr. Kim looked up from her calculations. Director, if these aliens are asking for help, what are they afraid of? What could threaten ships that advanced? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. If something scared beings who could build moon-sized starships, what hope did humanity have? Keep monitoring all frequencies, Rebecca ordered. And, get me a direct line to the president. If we're going to die, we're going to die fighting. As the hours passed, more disturbing details emerged. The alien ships weren't scanning Earth or showing any interest in the planet's defenses. They seemed focused entirely on something else, something that existed beyond human detection range. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Davis called out, "the alien fleet just changed course slightly. They're adjusting their trajectory by 2 degrees. Rebecca hurried to the navigation display. The course correction was minimal but significant. Where does this new heading take them? Still toward Earth, but now they'll pass much closer to Mars' orbit. It's as if they're being drawn toward something near the red planet. The pieces of a puzzle were forming, but Rebecca couldn't see the complete picture. The aliens weren't acting like conquerors or even explorers. They were acting like refugees, fleeing from something terrible and being drawn toward something else entirely. "Director," Dr. Kim said quietly, "what if Earth isn't their destination? What if they're running from something and just happen to be passing through our solar system?" Rebecca considered this possibility. It would explain their lack of communication and their apparent distress signals. But it also raised an even more frightening question. If these advanced beings were fleeing in terror, what was chasing them? The countdown continued, 65 hours until the alien fleet reached Earth's vicinity. Rebecca ordered all civilian populations to underground shelters while the military prepared for a battle they couldn't win. But deep in her heart, she began to suspect that humanity wasn't the aliens' target. Something else was waiting in the dark between the planets. Something that had the power to terrify beings who could cross interstellar space. As the alien fleet drew closer, Rebecca realized they were about to discover what lurked in the shadows of their own solar system. The alarm that woke Dr. Rebecca Torres from her brief nap wasn't the usual proximity warning she'd been expecting. Instead, the urgent beeping from the command center's main console indicated something far more puzzling. "Director, you need to see this immediately," called Dr. Kim. Her voice filled with confusion rather than fear. Rebecca stumbled to the central display, still groggy from only 2 hours of sleep. What she saw made her instantly alert. The alien fleet had broken its perfect formation and was scattering across space like startled birds. What happened? She demanded. 48 hours ago, they were in tight formation heading straight for Earth. Then, without warning, they changed course. Look at this trajectory analysis. The main screen showed the alien ship's new paths. Instead of continuing toward Earth, they had swung wide around Jupiter's orbit, their perfect military formation dissolving into chaos. Individual vessels were breaking away from the main group, some doubling back toward the outer planets while others maintained erratic courses. Toward Mars. "Are they regrouping for an attack?" Admiral Hayes asked as he joined them at the display. "No, sir." "Watch their energy signatures." Dr. Kim highlighted the readings on her tablet. "These patterns indicate panic, not tactical maneuvering. They're emitting distress signals in all directions." Rebecca studied the data more carefully. The aliens' behavior had changed completely. Their ships moved with desperate urgency, engines pushed beyond safe limits based on the energy readings. Whatever had caused them to alter course had terrified them. "Director," Lieutenant Davis called from the communications station, "we're picking up something else. The distress signals aren't random. They're all being broadcast toward the outer edge of the solar system, beyond Neptune." "Any responses?" "Nothing we can detect, ma'am." "But the aliens keep transmitting, getting more urgent each time?" Captain Rodriguez reported from the orbital defense platform Sentinel. "Ma'am, I'm tracking the lead group of alien vessels. They're not approaching Earth anymore. They're running from something." Rebecca felt a chill creep down her spine. Running from what? Unknown, but their acceleration patterns are consistent with full retreat. Whatever spooked them, it's not us. Dr. Kim pulled up another display showing the asteroid belt. "Director, remember those energy readings we dismissed as solar interference? I've been analyzing them more carefully. They correlate perfectly with the aliens' course changes. The new data showed faint energy signatures scattered throughout the asteroid belt previously hidden by the sun's radiation. The signals were weak but definitely artificial, and they seemed to activate moments before each alien course correction. "How did we miss this before?" Rebecca asked. "The signals are incredibly subtle, designed to blend with natural solar activity. We only notice them because the aliens are reacting so strongly to something in that region." Admiral Hayes studied. "A tactical display? If something in the asteroid belt is causing this reaction, shouldn't we be able to see it?" "That's the problem, sir. Whatever's out there is invisible to our sensors. We can only detect its effects on the alien ships." The hours passed with growing tension as they watched the alien fleet's increasingly desperate maneuvers. Several ships had broken formation entirely, some attempting to escape the solar system while others seemed drawn toward Mars against their will. "Ma'am," Technician Brown called from his station, "the alien transmissions are changing. They're no longer just distress signals. They're trying to communicate with something." "With us?" "No, Director, with whatever's in the asteroid belt. The signals are highly directional, all aimed at specific coordinates that match those energy readings." Rebecca authorized the construction of a real-time tracking system that followed each alien vessel individually. The results were disturbing. The ships weren't just fleeing randomly. They were being herded, forced into specific flight paths by an unseen presence. "It's like watching sheep being driven by an invisible shepherd," Dr. Kim observed grimly. As the alien fleet approached Mars orbit, their behavior became even more erratic. Ships that had been fleeing suddenly stopped and began moving toward the red planet, but their approach seemed reluctant, as if they were being compelled against their will. "Director," Captain Rodriguez reported from Sentinel, "I'm detecting massive energy buildups around Mars. Whatever's been hiding in the asteroid belt is converging on the planet." The energy readings from Mars began to intensify, creating interference patterns that made detailed observation nearly impossible. The alien ships were being drawn into this energy field like insects into a spider's web. "Can we get a clearer view of what's happening?" Rebecca asked. "Negative, ma'am. The energy field is scrambling our sensors. We're essentially blind to anything within 1,000,000 kilometers of Mars." Dr. Kim looked up from her calculations with a pale face. "Director, based on the energy levels we're detecting, whatever is around Mars has been there for a very long time. The power requirements to maintain that level of concealment would be enormous." "How long?" "Centuries, maybe millennia. This isn't a new arrival. It's been waiting." The realization hit Rebecca like a physical blow. The mysterious presence hadn't come to their solar system with the alien fleet. It had been there all along, hidden and patient, waiting for something to trigger its activation. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Davis said quietly, "if this thing has been in our solar system for centuries, why didn't it react to us? Why wait for the aliens?" Rebecca didn't have an answer, but she was beginning to form a terrifying hypothesis. Whatever lurked around Mars wasn't interested in humanity. It was interested in advanced civilizations, in technologies that posed a threat to something it was protecting. "Get me a direct line to the Mars Colonial Authority," she ordered. "I want to know if they've detected anything unusual." "Director, we lost contact with the Mars colony 6 hours ago. All communications have been severed." The command center fell silent except for the steady hum of computers tracking the alien fleet's final approach to Mars. Rebecca watched the tactical display with growing dread, knowing that humanity was about to witness something that would change their understanding of the universe forever. The alien ships continued their reluctant advance toward Mars, their distress signals growing weaker with each passing hour. Whatever was waiting for them on the red planet was about to reveal itself, and Rebecca suspected that once it did, the alien fleet would cease to exist, but the most terrifying thought was what would happen next. If the hidden presence around Mars was that powerful, what would it do about the 8 billion humans who had been watching from Earth? Dr. Rebecca Torres had seen many impossible things in her career, but nothing had prepared her for what appeared on the main screen at 0347 hours. Mars, the familiar red planet that humanity had studied for centuries, was surrounded by a shimmering energy field that made reality itself seem to bend and twist. Director, our most advanced sensors are finally picking up what the aliens have been responding to, Dr. Kim reported, her voice filled with awe and terror. There's a massive energy field around Mars, completely invisible to normal detection methods. The field pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive, expanding and contracting in waves that rippled through space. The alien fleet, now reduced to 19 vessels after several ships had self-destructed rather than continue their approach, moved toward this phenomenon with obvious reluctance. The energy signatures don't match anything in our databases, Technician Brown added. It's not fusion, not antimatter, not anything we understand. The power levels are beyond our ability to measure. Rebecca watched in fascination as the alien ships began to slow dramatically upon entering the outer edge of the energy field. Their massive hulls, each the size of a small city, started to shimmer and distort as if they were mirages rather than solid objects. "Ma'am," Captain Rodriguez called from Sentinel, "I'm detecting massive structural stress in the alien vessels. It's as if the space around them is changing its fundamental properties." The first ship to fully enter the energy field around Mars began to fade. Not explode, not break apart, but simply become less real with each passing second. The process was completely silent, leaving no debris, no energy discharge, no trace that a moon-sized starship had ever existed. "What just happened?" Admiral Hayes demanded. "The ship didn't get destroyed," Dr. Kim said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It ceased to exist. The energy field around Mars is somehow removing them from reality itself." One by one, the remaining alien vessels met the same fate. As they entered the mysterious field, they began to shimmer and fade until nothing remained but empty space. The process took exactly 6 minutes and 37 seconds for each ship, as if following some predetermined protocol. "Director," Communications Officer Blake called out urgently, "I'm picking up a transmission from the last alien vessel. It's broadcasting on multiple human frequencies. Put it through the speakers." The voice that emerged from the communication system was clearly artificial, struggling to form words in broken English, German, and Mandarin. "Warning ... darn a warning to small world. Stay away from red world. Never wake the guardians. They protect ... they eliminate. We came too close ... too close." The transmission cut off abruptly as the final alien ship faded from existence, leaving behind only the slowly dimming energy field around Mars. The command center fell into stunned silence. 27 massive alien vessels representing technology far beyond human capability had been eliminated without a trace. Whatever controlled the energy field around Mars possessed power that made the aliens' advanced civilization look primitive by comparison. "Sir," Lieutenant Davis said to Admiral Hayes, "should we maintain defensive positions?" "Against what?" the Admiral replied bitterly. "If that thing can make ships the size of cities simply stop existing, our entire fleet wouldn't last 5 minutes." Rebecca studied the sensor data, trying to understand what they had witnessed. "Dr. Kim, what's the status of the energy field now?" "It's fading back to undetectable levels, ma'am. Whatever system activated to deal with the aliens is powering down. In another hour, we probably won't be able to detect it at all. And Mars appears completely normal. Surface temperature, atmospheric composition, everything matches our previous data. It's as if nothing happened," Captain Rodriguez reported from the Sentinel platform. "Director, I'm conducting a full spectrum scan of the area where the alien ships vanished. There's nothing there. No atoms, no energy residue, no gravitational disturbance. It's like they never existed." Rebecca felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. The implications were staggering. Something had been hiding in their solar system, something so advanced that it could eliminate entire fleets without leaving a trace. "Ma'am," Technician Brown called out, "I'm detecting similar energy signatures on several moons throughout the solar system. They're all connected by some kind of network that we never knew existed. The tactical display updated to show the locations of hidden energy sources on Europa, Titan, Ganymede, and dozens of asteroids. The entire solar system was apparently riddled with concealed technology that humanity had never suspected. "How long has this been there?" Rebecca asked. "Based on the energy decay patterns, these installations have been active for thousands of years, maybe longer. We've been living in a solar system that's actually a carefully maintained ... something." Dr. Kim looked up from her analysis with a disturbed expression. "Director, I've been reviewing our historical records. Over the past century, we've detected dozens of unexplained phenomena. Asteroids that change course for no reason, energy. Readings that vanished when we tried to investigate, signals that seemed artificial but disappeared before we could decode them. You think this has happened before? I think the alien fleet that just vanished wasn't the first. I think whatever's protecting our solar system has been eliminating threats for a very long time, and we never knew it." Rebecca walked to the main display and stared at Mars, which now appeared completely normal. The red planet that had fascinated humanity for generations was apparently the control center for a defensive system of unimaginable power. "Director," Admiral Hayes said quietly, "if this system has been protecting us without our knowledge, what does that make us? Are we prisoners in our own solar system?" The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Rebecca realized that humanity's entire understanding of their place in the universe had just been shattered. They weren't alone in the cosmos, they weren't unprotected, and they certainly weren't free. "Get me a full analysis of every unexplained phenomenon in our historical records," she ordered. "Cross-reference them with the locations of these hidden energy sources. I want to know how many times we've been protected without knowing it." As the hours passed, the scope of the revelation became clear. The solar system wasn't humanity's home. It was a sanctuary protected by guardians who had been eliminating threats for millennia. The alien fleet had been just the latest in a long series of interventions that humanity had never suspected. "Ma'am," Dr. Kim said softly, "if these guardians have been protecting us for so long, why? What makes Earth special enough to warrant this level of defense?" Rebecca stared at the data streaming across her screens, knowing that the answer to that question would determine humanity's future. Whatever lurked around Mars wasn't just protecting Earth from alien invasions. It was protecting something far more important, something that made their little blue planet worth defending against the entire universe. The alien fleet was gone, vanished as if it had never existed. But their final warning echoed in Rebecca's mind: never wake the Guardians. The question was whether humanity was ready to learn why they needed Guardians in the first place. The research vessel Endeavour approached, Mars with the caution of a mouse entering a cat's den. Dr. Rebecca Torres stood in the ship's observation deck, watching the red planet grow larger through the reinforced windows. 3 months had passed since the alien fleet vanished, and humanity still had no answers. "Director, we're detecting the same energy readings that appeared during the alien encounter," reported Dr. Kim from the science station. "They're very faint, but definitely artificial." Rebecca nodded, her eyes never leaving Mars. The planet looked exactly as it always had, but she knew better now. Somewhere beneath that familiar rusty surface lay technology that could make entire fleets cease to exist. "Take us into a high orbit," she ordered Captain Walsh, the mission commander. "Full sensor sweep, but keep us well outside the energy field perimeter." The Endeavour's advanced sensors, upgraded with technology reverse-engineered from the alien encounter, began their detailed scan of Mars. What they discovered made Rebecca's blood run cold. "Ma'am," Engineer Walsh called from his station, "Mars isn't what it appears to be. The surface layer is real, but underneath there's a massive artificial structure. It's like the entire planet is hollow." The main display showed a cross-section view of Mars that defied everything humanity thought they knew. Beneath the rocky surface was a spherical shell of unknown material, and inside that shell was something that made Rebecca's heart race. "It's a machine," Dr. Kim whispered. "The entire planet is a machine." The structure was impossibly complex, with geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Energy conduits ran through the artificial planet like veins, all leading to a central core that pulsed with power beyond human comprehension. "How old is this thing?" Rebecca asked. "Based on the mineral deposits on the surface, it's been here for at least 50,000 years, possibly much longer. The surface of Mars is basically camouflaged to hide this planetary defense system." Captain Walsh studied the tactical display with growing amazement. "Director, I'm detecting similar structures throughout the solar system. They're all connected by energy beams that we can barely detect." The revelation was staggering. What humanity had thought were natural moons and asteroids were actually components of a vast defensive network. Europa, Ganymede, Titan, and dozens of smaller bodies were all part of the same system. "It's like living inside a fortress and never knowing the walls were there," Dr. Kim said softly. Rebecca authorized a deeper scan of the Martian structure, using every sensor at their disposal. The results were both fascinating and terrifying. The machine planet was designed with one purpose: to eliminate any threat to the inner solar system. "Ma'am," Engineer Walsh reported, "I'm detecting something else. This defense system hasn't been passive. There are energy traces suggesting it's been active many times throughout history." "How many times?" "Dozens, maybe hundreds. The aliens we saw vanish weren't the first. This thing has been defending our solar system for millennia." Rebecca felt a chill as the implications sank in. Humanity had been living under protection they never knew existed, shielded from threats they couldn't imagine. But protected by whom and why? "Director," Dr. Kim called urgently, "I'm detecting movement inside the Martian structure. Something's responding to our presence." The energy readings from Mars began to fluctuate, and Rebecca realized with growing alarm that their investigation had triggered some kind of response. The ancient defense system was waking up. "Should we retreat?" Captain Walsh asked. "No," Rebecca replied firmly. "We need answers. Take us closer, but be ready to run if necessary." As the Endeavour descended toward Mars, the artificial structure became more active. Energy patterns flowed through the planet like a vast nervous system awakening from sleep. The central core began to pulse more rapidly, and strange geometric shapes appeared on the surface. "Ma'am," Engineer Walsh said with awe in his voice, "I think it's trying to communicate with us." The patterns on Mars' surface were definitely artificial, forming symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The energy readings suggested the planetary machine was analyzing the Endeavour, trying to determine if they were a threat. "Can we establish communication?" Rebecca asked. "I'm trying, but the technology is so advanced that we're like ants trying to talk to a computer. We don't have the proper interface." Dr. Kim looked up from her analysis with a pale face. "Director, I've been studying the historical data. Every major extinction event in Earth's history corresponds to energy spikes from this defense network. The dinosaurs, the ice ages, mass extinctions we attributed to natural causes. You're saying the system has been protecting Earth by eliminating threats for millions of years?" "More than that, I think it's been guiding evolution itself. The energy patterns suggest this network doesn't just defend against external threats. It shapes the development of life in the solar system." Rebecca stared at the data in horror. Humanity's entire evolutionary history had been influenced by artificial intelligence beyond their comprehension. They weren't just protected by the defense network, they were products of it. "Ma'am," Captain Walsh called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Martian structure. It's in English." The voice that came through the speakers was calm and measured, speaking with perfect human inflection. "Greetings, descendants. You have grown sufficiently to detect our presence. This is acceptable." Rebecca stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Who are you? What is this place?" "We are the progenitors. This facility maintains the temporal stability of your species' development. You have reached the appropriate level of advancement to receive limited information. Progenitors? Are you aliens? We are human. We are what you will become, given sufficient time. We have returned to protect our own past, to ensure the timeline remains stable. The revelation hit Rebecca like a physical blow. The Guardians protecting Earth weren't aliens at all. They were humans from the far future, evolved beyond recognition, but still bound by the need to protect their own origins. The alien fleet. That vanished, Rebecca said slowly. You destroyed them to protect us? We eliminated a threat to the timeline. The Zilani Empire would have enslaved your species, preventing the development that leads to our existence. This could not be permitted. Dr. Kim leaned forward eagerly. How many times have you intervened in human history? 137. Major interventions over the past 50,000 years? Each time we eliminate threats that would disrupt the proper development of your species. The process is nearly complete? Nearly complete? Soon your species will be advanced enough to defend itself. When that occurs, we will withdraw and the temporal loop will close. You will become us and you will protect your own past as we have protected ours. Rebecca felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. Humanity's future wasn't just their own. They were destined to become the guardians of time itself, protecting their own species across the centuries. But first, the progenitor voice continued, you must prove worthy of this inheritance. Greater threats are coming and we cannot intervene much longer. The energy required to maintain this protection across time is enormous and we are reaching our limits. As the Endeavor prepared to return to Earth, Rebecca realized that humanity stood at a crossroads. They could remain under the protection of their future selves, or they could take the first steps toward becoming the protectors themselves. The choice would determine not just their future, but their entire past. The hidden chamber deep within Mars defied every law of physics. Dr. Rebecca Torres thought she understood. The walls seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and the air itself hummed with energy that made her skin tingle. Most, disturbing of all were the figures waiting for them. Welcome, ancestors, said the being that had once been human. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, its body elongated and graceful, with eyes that held the weight of millennia. I am Prime, the first of the progenitors. We have been waiting for this moment. Rebecca and her team stood in stunned silence. The progenitors appeared human but evolved beyond current understanding. Their skin had a subtle luminescence, and their movements seemed to flow like water. Despite their alien appearance, Rebecca could see traces of humanity in their faces. You're really us? She asked. From the future? We are what humanity becomes when given proper guidance and protection. We have traveled back through time to ensure our own existence by protecting our past. Prime gestured to the chamber around them. This facility has been our base of operations for 50,000 years. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. How is time travel possible? Our physics says it's impossible. Your physics is incomplete, Prime replied gently. When humanity masters the fundamental forces of the universe, time becomes just another dimension to navigate. We use this ability to protect the timeline that created us. Engineer Walsh looked around the chamber with wonder. The alien fleet that vanished, you eliminated them to protect us? The Zilani Empire was the 74th major threat to your species' development. Their technology would have enslaved humanity, preventing the advancement necessary for us to exist. This could not be permitted. Prime led them to a viewing area where holographic displays showed the history of human civilization. Rebecca watched in amazement as the displays revealed intervention after intervention, each one hidden from historical records. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, Prime explained, was redirected by us to clear the path for mammalian evolution. The Ice Ages were triggered to accelerate human brain development. The Bronze Age collapse was caused by our elimination of a reptilian species that would have dominated Earth. You've been manipulating our entire history, Rebecca said, unsure whether to feel grateful or horrified. We have been ensuring it. Without our intervention, humanity would have been extinct long ago. Your species is remarkably fragile in its early stages of development. Another progenitor approached, this one slightly smaller, but with the same luminescent skin. I am memory keeper of the timeline. Your species faces a critical juncture. Soon we will no longer be able to protect you. Why not? Rebecca asked. The energy required to maintain temporal protection across 50,000 years is enormous. Our power sources are nearly depleted. More importantly, our continued intervention risks creating a paradox that could unravel the timeline itself. Memory gestured to another display showing energy consumption charts. We have perhaps 5 more years before we must withdraw completely. After that, humanity must defend itself. Against what? Dr. Kim asked. The Void Hunters arrive in your timeline in 7 years. They are a machine intelligence that consumes entire galaxies. The Draconis Collective will attempt to claim Earth in 15 years. The Psychic Dominion will arrive in 23 years. Each of these threats required our intervention in previous timelines. Rebecca felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. How can we possibly fight enemies that advanced? Prime smiled, an expression that seemed strange on his evolved features. The same way we did, ancestors. With human ingenuity, determination, and the knowledge we provide. The progenitors led them deeper into the chamber, where massive machines hummed with power. Rebecca realized they were looking at technology that wouldn't be invented for thousands of years. We will provide you with selective knowledge, Prime explained. Not enough to disrupt the timeline, but sufficient to accelerate your development. You must learn to build your own defenses, to stand as guardians of your own space. Engineer Walsh studied the alien machinery with wonder. What kind of technology are we talking about? Quantum shield generators that can protect entire planets. Weapons that manipulate matter at the subatomic level. Ships that can travel faster than light without the limitations of Einstein's equations. Memory activated a holographic display, showing Earth's future. In 30 years, you will establish the first temporal defense grid. In 50 years, you will achieve the breakthrough that allows time travel. In 100 years, you will send the first expedition back to protect your own past. We become you, Rebecca said, finally understanding the full scope of the temporal loop. You become us, and we become you. The circle of time demands that today's humans become tomorrow's guardians. This is the burden and the privilege of your species. Dr. Kim looked troubled. But what about free will? If you've been guiding our development, are we really making our own choices? Prime's expression grew serious. The major events of history were guided to ensure survival. But individual choices, personal growth, the development of human character, these remained untouched. You are still human, still capable of surprise, still able to choose your own path within the greater timeline. The progenitors showed them detailed plans for advanced technology that would help humanity defend itself. Rebecca studied the blueprints with growing amazement. Fusion reactors that could power entire continents. Defensive satellites that could eliminate threats before they reached Earth. Communication systems that could instantly connect humanity across the galaxy. Why give us this knowledge now? She asked. Because the timeline is approaching the point where we must withdraw. Memory replied. If you do not achieve sufficient advancement within 5 years, the threats coming in 7 years will destroy humanity. The temporal loop will be broken and we will cease to exist. Rebecca understood the stakes. If humanity failed to develop the necessary defenses, not only would they be destroyed, but the future humans who had been protecting them would never exist. The paradox would unravel everything. What do we need to do? She asked. Prime handed her a crystalline device that seemed to contain vast amounts of information. Return to Earth, begin construction of the first defense grid, use the knowledge we provide. But remember that the choices you make will determine not just your future, but ours as well. As the team prepared to leave the chamber, Memory approached Rebecca with a final warning. The knowledge we give you will attract attention. Other species will notice humanity's rapid advancement. Some will try to stop you before you become too powerful. How do we handle that? Rebecca asked. The same way humans always have, with courage, determination, and the refusal to surrender. These qualities are why we chose to protect this timeline. Humanity may be fragile, but it possesses something rare in the universe, the ability to grow stronger when faced with impossible odds. Prime nodded in agreement. Your species has a saying, humanity F*******, yeah? We have seen timelines where humans faced extinction and chose to fight anyway. This defiance, this refusal to accept defeat, is what makes you special. Rebecca felt a surge of pride and determination. We won't let you down. We won't let ourselves down. The journey back to Earth felt different now. Rebecca looked at the stars and knew that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They were part of something larger, a chain of protection that stretched across time itself. When the Endeavour docked at Earth's orbital station, Rebecca wasted no time implementing the progenitor's plan. Construction began immediately on the first defense grid, using technologies that made humanity's previous achievements look primitive. The fusion reactors came online first, providing clean energy that ended Earth's power problems overnight. Next came the shield generators, creating protective barriers around major population centers. Finally, the orbital defense platforms began taking shape, bristling with weapons that could eliminate threats at the speed of light. Other nations demanded access to the new technology, leading to the formation of the United Earth Defense Council. Rebecca became its first director, coordinating humanity's transformation from a single-planet species to the guardians of their own solar system. 5 years later, as the progenitors had predicted, the first test came. The Void Hunter's Scout. Ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, mechanical monstrosities that had consumed 1,000 worlds. At this time, humanity was ready. The orbital defense platforms opened fire with weapons that bent space-time itself. The enemy ships, designed to consume organic civilizations, had no defense against technology that simply removed them from existence. The battle lasted 6 minutes. Humanity won. 10 years after meeting the progenitors, Dr. Rebecca Torres stood in the command center of the first temporal research facility. Scientists worked frantically to achieve the breakthrough that would allow time travel, racing against the arrival of the Draconis Collective. "Director," Dr. Kim called from her station, "we've achieved temporal resonance. The time field is stable." Rebecca smiled as she watched the first human time travel experiment succeed. A small probe disappeared into the past, carrying a message that would be discovered by archaeologists the next day. The temporal loop was beginning to close. 50 years later, an elderly Rebecca watched as the first human expedition prepared to travel back in time. The volunteers who would become the progenitors stood ready to sacrifice their normal lives to protect humanity's past. "Remember," she told them, "you're not just protecting Earth, you're protecting the idea that humanity deserves to exist, to grow, to become something greater than what we are today." The time travelers nodded and stepped into the temporal field. Rebecca watched them disappear, knowing they would spend 50,000 years in the past, guiding and protecting their own species. 100 years after the first encounter with the progenitors, humanity had spread across the galaxy. Earth was no longer just a planet, but the center of a vast defensive network that protected countless worlds from cosmic threats. The temporal loop was complete. Humans from the future had protected their past, ensuring their own existence and the survival of their species. The aliens who had been vanished near Mars had been just the beginning. Humanity had become the guardians of time itself. In her final years, Rebecca often thought about the words Prime had spoken in that hidden chamber on Mars, humanity's refusal to surrender. Their determination to protect what they loved had made them special among the stars. The universe was vast and dangerous, filled with threats that could destroy entire civilizations. But humanity had proven that with enough courage and determination, even the smallest species could become the protectors of tomorrow. As Rebecca looked up at the stars one last time, she knew that somewhere in the past, the progenitors were still watching, still protecting, still ensuring that the timeline remained stable. The circle of time would continue, and humanity would always be there to guard its own future. The alien fleet that had charged toward Earth and vanished before reaching Mars had been the catalyst for humanity's greatest transformation, from A species that needed protection, they had become the protectors themselves? It was, Rebecca thought with a smile, the most human story of all.